Welcome back to Our Community. Susy Thomas with Jeff and Braden Kahn. They're with Amish Country Theater. They're the owners. So what are your parts? What do each of you do? And is your dad still involved?
Yeah, absolutely. All three of us are doing the day-to-day. So my dad was very involved with operations, accounting, kind of the business side of the business. He's definitely the smart one of the three of us. So he does a good job of keeping us running and all of the accounting side of things. Myself, I do a lot of the marketing, a lot of the technology, the production, and the creative writing. And then Braden does as well. He and I kind of both team up on that side of things. And Braden's actually in all of the shows. He doesn't like to brag about it, but he's one of the bigger draws of the show. And if you've seen him perform, you know how talented he is.
Braden, what do you do in the show?
Man. I do a lot of different things in the shows. I'm one of the Jonases in the show, so I do a lot of parody songs. Do a lot of dancing and acting and all sorts of fun improv sketches, audience participation, and we just have a lot of fun.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep, absolutely.
Did you study this? Is this what, or did you study, something sensible and then came back and this is the fun real life thing you're doing?
Yeah, well, I have a 4-year degree in biology, actually.
so much for med school.
Right, yep, that was the plan originally. It really was. And
yes.
Then, but I was involved, during college, in the summers especially, I would be in the shows, and I just fell in love with it. And, I had always thought I wanted to go to med school, but the more I did acting and being part of the family business and the kind of entrepreneurship that goes with that, I fell in love with that and decided to do that as a full-time job.
Very, very cool. Do you think of expanding because this might be something that would go over in more than places than just here?
Yeah, obviously right now with the new project, we've got our hands full, but something we do travel quite a bit. That's something a lot of people don't know is corporate events, trade shows, different college shows will call us and say, hey, we were at one of your shows. We loved it so much. Do you ever hit the road and perform at different events? So, yeah, we've been doing that for about 3 years now when we're not at the theater. So, yeah, we think about that sometimes when we're at different locations and it's a big hit. And we start to get a following in some of those places.
Seasonally, what does it look like? Because you mentioned a Christmas show. So you're year-round. It's not just summer, is it?
No, we start in April, mid-April, and then we do 150 shows through Christmas. And then after Christmas, we do a great big New Year's Eve spectacular show where
fun.
We do 3 shows that day, and the late show counts down to midnight. And that's kind of the end of the season. We take January off, and then we start writing next year's shows.
Wow. So if you were going to be touring or taking the show on the road, so to speak, that would be best during the spring?
Well, there's a couple of different ways we do it. In the off season, it's pretty easy. And then especially when we're dark at the theater on Mondays and Wednesdays, it's easy. But we actually have different people who play characters in our show. So most of the parts are double cast. So we can send out maybe one troupe on the road on a Saturday night while the other one is at the theater performing.
Oh, that's brilliant.
So
really good. Well. You mentioned dark. What nights are you open?
We're open Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays.
Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. You've really kind of cooked up a pretty good schedule for yourselves. I know you're working all the time.
It's just kind of grown, and we've just followed what people have wanted. When we started, we had a great show, but not a lot of people knew. But then it just took off and exploded, and now we're working to keep up every week as much as we can. Where
do you get your ideas as you sit down to write?
Everywhere.
It's hard to sit down and say, okay, let's be funny.
Yeah. In comedy, you're just constantly seeing ironic situations someplace, or you maybe get inspired by something you see, and you're constantly, I know Braden has a notebook he keeps writing stuff down in throughout the year.
Yeah. And someone comes up with an idea, but then someone says, oh, what if we do that, but then add this, and pretty soon everyone's pitching in ideas, and it might look totally different than what kind of that seed that was planted at the beginning, but with the writing team, kind of everybody gives their opinions, and it ends up pretty funny.
Yeah, we had an idea this year that started as kind of a funny music video idea that we thought might be kind of fun. And then what it morphed into is probably one of the funniest things that we've ever done on our stage. It's in the Thursday and Saturday show, and it involves Ken Groves, our ventriloquist, his puppet, kind of takes on its own role without Ken, which is kind of funny if you think about it.
Oh, that's funny.
So people who come need to come on Thursday and Saturday and see that bit because people talk about it year-round right now.
You are laughing with people. Never at people.
Right.
We need to emphasize that. Is it all the humor Amish themed or country themed, or how does this go?
It's more about farm
farm.
living. Yeah, it's less about Amish, I suppose. We say Amish because we're in Amish country, and for marketing, people can understand that. But yeah, most of the jokes in our show are more about, churning butter or planting corn. It's less about religion. We don't like to go there because there's so many different stances, and it's such a diverse crowd when you do as many shows and have as many people come that you're never going to appease everyone. So we just don't touch those topics. We stay, low risk, very family friendly, and about just fun farm country living.
And certainly anyone who lives the farm country life loves the lighthearted look at it.
Absolutely.
Would somebody from the urban area or city area, would we get the humor?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we the farm living, we always make sure that it's relatable to everybody, no matter where you're from. And we have a lot of other types of humor, too, not just with the farm living, that I think is kind of covers all the bases. And, everybody always has a great time.
Yeah, something we're proud of, I guess you could say, is we find that our best compliment comes from families who bring 3 generations. From the grandparents to the parents and then their younger kids or even teenagers. What we love to hear, and we hear it often afterwards, is we've found a place that my kids could be entertained and my grandparents could be entertained, that there's something for everyone.
Stop and think about that. That is amazing. And what a compliment to you that you've struck something where so much comedy now has to go for the lowest common denominator and shock value.
Right.
And you can't let your kids hear it, for heaven's sake. But this is something that you can bring the entire family to, and everybody goes away really having had a wonderful time.
Yeah, it was hard to do, but it's when we're writing, we're very intentional about appealing to that whole family atmosphere, and we think we've kind of figured it out and put our formula together that makes these shows fun.
Can we peel that back a little bit? Because you're exactly right. It is harder. It's harder to write clean.
It is.
And it's harder to write truly funny.
Right.
And not fall back on shock value stuff that we see all the time where I'm just tired of it. Anyway.
Yeah, no, we agree. Absolutely.
What is your process? How do you, I know you look for inspiration in daily life and constantly keep a notebook with you. I know other writers, that's how they live.
Right.
What's your process then to sit down and think, okay, how do we put this together and tweak it and keep tweaking it until we know it's done?
Yeah, well, it starts with that brainstorm session. The nice thing about our writers is they're all funny people. And something with comedy, too, is I don't know if people realize is that there's a science behind it, and it's not for the weak-minded. You have to be pretty smart, and like Braden says, he has a 4-year degree in biology, and you wouldn't think that helps you in comedy, but you really do have to think really hard and come up with different formulas that work. So we brainstorm together in January and come up with all these crazy ideas, and then you just keep refining, and you test them out on certain crowds and see how they work, and you pick your best stuff. And then once the shows start, we're continually rewriting acts. As a matter of fact, tomorrow's show, we have a brand new act that we're debuting in the show because, one of the other acts, on a 1 to 10, maybe it was getting a 6 reaction, and all of our stuff we try to get a 9 or a 10. So we rewrote it, and now we've got a new bit in tomorrow's show. So it's just a process. There's never a start and a finish. You're just constantly writing and rewriting to get the best possible reaction.
How does a person get to be one of your test guinea pigs in the audience?
Well, I don't know, Braden, you tell them about that.
Oh, well, it just depends. It's always family, friends, fans of the show that we know really well, people that just love to laugh, people that want to come out and be supportive. And a lot of times, we'll do a dress rehearsal for a small crowd just to kind of test it, because when you're sitting around in a room with, the 5 of us, we think, wow, we think that's funny, but you never know, will a crowd find that funny until you test it out on someone.
Yeah, I remember a good story is would have been last year that we were sitting in the sound booth and I was observing the guys doing the show, and the sound guy and I were almost in tears. We were laughing so hard at one of these acts that they did. And then when we did it live, it was probably one of the least funniest bits of the show to the crowd. So comedy is so hard to understand that even though you might think you've got a home run, it's really the customer that gets to decide that.
Yes. Oh, good point.
Yeah. So we rewrote it, and within about 2 weeks had something different that did get up to that 8 or 9 on the laughter scale, as we call it.
You've got 2 shows going right now. Tell us about each of them.
Yeah, so we have 2 shows right now on Tuesdays and Fridays. It's a variety show called Show Me the Funny. And then on Thursdays and Saturdays is the other show called Macho Mule. And in both of these shows, you'll find live bluegrass music. We have our ventriloquist Ken Groves who performs, which we talked about him. You know, he's performed in Las Vegas and on cruise ships for a lot of years. He is hysterical. And then we've got characters that do parody songs about farm living. If you remember the Hee Haw television show, we've got some of the country bumpkin type comedians that'll do some stand-up comedy, crowd participation sketches, just improv sketches. You never know what you're going to get. It's always a great variety that's always family-friendly and always very funny.
So a person, with your new hotel, a person could come to one show, stay over, and then go to a second show the next day, and you've not repeated. Was that your idea?
Well, that was our hope. That's why we do 2 shows, because a lot of people stay the weekend. They don't just come for one night. They're there for 2 or 3. And we're like, why not write a show that they could see one night, stay the night, and see another different show? And then what we've done is we've created packages. So they can save a lot of money by seeing both shows. And then next year with the hotel, we're creating incredible discounts when you do the show and the rooms together.
Oh, perfect. Will there be a good place to eat? I'm assuming it's Amish Country.
Yeah. That's one thing that we've talked about. We do cater meals for big groups, for motor coach groups, but there's so many great restaurants in Amish Country. Braden and I are not good cooks. So,
play your strengths.
Yeah,
play to your strengths.
We're playing to our strengths and letting the great Amish restaurants in town do the cooking.
All right. We've got enough time to just repeat everything real quickly so people can get this on their things to do this summer for sure. Where are you located? How do we get tickets? And the shows that are playing now.
Sure, absolutely. So we're located on State Route 39 in Walnut Creek. So that's about 5 minutes from Berlin. So it is in the heart of Ohio's Amish Country. And then to get tickets, you can go to AmishCountryTheater.com. Or you can give us a call at 888-988-7469. We'll be able to help you out over the phone as well. And then we do have 2 new variety shows going right now. On Tuesdays and Fridays is our Show Me the Funny show. And then on Thursdays and Saturdays is Macho Mule. And then we start Christmas shows called Christmas in the Country starting in November. And those are always very popular as well.
Oh, give us a sneak peek. What will we see at Christmas time?
Well, last year at Christmas time, Leonard rode in on a reindeer.
Oh,
so
man.
if that gives you any indication of the crazy stuff we do, Santa came through passing out crazy gifts for the crowd. It's always just a lot of fun, something you're never going to expect, nothing you've ever seen before.
Yeah.
And a lot of fun for families. And not only that, we've found a lot of companies around that time of year do their Christmas parties with us.
You've seen this kind of growth in the past. How old are you? 6 years?
Yeah.
Where do you see yourselves in 6 years from now?
Well, I mean, obviously we'd love for this new property to take off. But what we know is that we're going to continue doing great shows, new shows every year, and we'll just see what happens. I think as long as you've got a great product that's family-friendly and that creates a unique experience for families, it's going to do well.
Awesome. Jeff Braden Kahn from Amish Country Theater, thanks so much for what you brought to our community.
Yeah, thank you for having us.